listen, all right. How much longer is it gonna be?
Oh, maybe about 5-10 minutes.
So? There seems to be a bit of a discrepancy.
So when are we gonna eat?
5-10 minutes.
Welcome to Gimmicks, a podcast about the high-concept, experimental, structure-breaking gimmick episodes of TV, from musicals to noirs to real-time bottle episodes where it's just taking forever to get dinner. I'm Derek B. Gale, and who's with me today?
You're joined by someone trapped in their own bottle of emotions, Tommy Proffitt.
Hey, Tommy, would you steal an egg roll from someone's plate if I paid you $50?
I would not only steal an egg roll from someone's plate, I would go put my face into their soup and blow.
Nice. I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah. You're quizzing me to make sure I watch the episode.
Yeah. We are talking about one of the seminal sitcoms of the 90s and of like all time, honestly, let's be real. Seinfeld, season 2, episode 11, entitled The Chinese Restaurant, which like itself is one of the most well-known and well-regarded episodes of the series. Arguably one that like kind of set the standard for modern bottle episodes as we know it. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Just a brief history of Seinfeld leading up to this particular episode. I don't know who hasn't heard of this show, but if you haven't, Seinfeld is a sitcom. Seinfeld is a sitcom created by comedian Jerry Seinfeld and Bernie Sanders lookalike Larry David. David's probably best known now for going on to create and star in Curb Your Enthusiasm, which has birthed like tons of memes. Seinfeld ran for 9 seasons on NBC from 1989 to 1998. And it follows 4 friends who are like kind of terrible, selfish people living in New York and having New York experiences.
And just human experiences, to be fair. Some of them are very, very universal, like being trapped in a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, we've all been there. I mean, that was my next note, actually, is that like it's also famous for its observational humor and also for being a show about nothing, which I think is very relevant to this episode especially. And also no big deal. It's also undoubtedly one of the most influential and renowned shows in television history. So I feel like everybody has at least heard of the show. Most people, especially our age, have watched it. And just, I don't even feel like I need to say this, but I'll be saying it for other shows. It stars Jerry Seinfeld as Jerry, Julia Louis-Dreyfus as Elaine, Jason Alexander as George, and Michael Richards as Kramer, even though he doesn't appear in this episode. Everybody knows who they are. It's almost pointless to like talk about the history of a show like this, to be honest.
A history about nothing.
A history about nothing. Honestly, on that note, Tommy, what's your personal history with Seinfeld?
Wow. My personal history with Seinfeld, you probably know this, just generally, I used to love Seinfeld. I say used to as if I don't still enjoy it every now and again. But there was a period of my life where I just, went through and like binged all of the episodes and, bought some of the DVDs and stuff like that. I'm not like a huge Seinfeld aficionado or anything. But it definitely at a certain point in time, I was like, yeah, this is like the pinnacle of TV comedy. And like, I need to like watch this as much as I can. And my tastes have since grown on from there. But yeah, I mean, I still enjoy the show. It definitely has a comforting kind of quality to it that's really kind of strange, even though as I was watching this episode, admittedly, one of the things I wrote down was like, this is just extremely anxiety inducing, some of the stuff that happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's my like kind of main connection to it. Is it's basically just like a comfort show at this point. I definitely remember it coming on syndicated, on Fox, like around the time that Simpsons would come on, and I would watch Simpsons. So then Seinfeld would come on soon after, and that's kind of when I probably got my first glimpse at it. But it was really kind of college, I think, when I was really more into the show itself.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it actually was sort of similar with me. I think I was actually more into it growing up than I even was in college. Like I remember I was watching the reruns alongside the new episodes that were airing. I remember watching the series finale the night that it aired and then being disappointed in it.
Oh, wild.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those shows where I was definitely like too young for it, I think, when I was watching it, but like it's still, the characters are so definable and so human and like if it doesn't remind you of yourself, which I think they do, especially when you're an adult, but even as a kid, before you've had a lot of the experiences they have or know what they're talking about, they're probably going to remind you of people in your life or even like your parents, things that my parents would sort of say behind closed doors. That's the things that Seinfeld characters would say and do, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're sort of just like reflections of our worst selves in a lot of cases. But yeah, I mean, it was the same deal with me. I watched it in syndication along with The Simpsons, like all the time, perpetually. And I've always, if there was a period when I didn't watch it, I would eventually dip back into it because it is a very rewatchable show.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think that's the other thing about it is that it just has this quality where like, even if the references are dated, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point, even if the like with that, you can still kind of go back and just kind of get the same vibe from it, because it's more about the emotions and like the things that the characters are going through as opposed to like the specific situation some of the times. At least that's kind of the connection I still get with it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I didn't know that you watched the finale live. That's kind of that's kind of wild. I don't think I even knew it was as big of a deal, being honest, like when I was younger. But now that I know it, that's kind of a really cool little tidbit.
Yeah, I remember because the night that they aired like a clip show special ahead of time, but then the series finale itself is like predominantly a clip show too. So it's sort of like, wait, hold on. And then they all end up in prison, which as growing up, I understand like what the point of that was. And I sort of understand like, oh yeah, they were terrible people and they're kind of getting their just desserts by the end of it. But when you're like a 9 or 10-year-old watching like characters that you've loved that say funny things for years, and then it's like, and then they go to jail, like, what? What?
Yeah, can you imagine if like any of the animated shows that we watched growing up, if it ended in that way where it's like, well, now Cow and Chicken are going to prison. I don't know why that's the example that came into my mind, but it is.
Yeah, beloved show Cow and Chicken. That's the one that everyone remembers.
Today's hottest comedian.
And those bank lines. I hate it when there's nobody on the line at all. And you still have to go through the little maze. Could you get a little piece of cheese for me? I'm almost at the front. I'd like a reward.
The first of NBC's summer hits.
How much could you possibly have in there?
I know a guy who took his vacation on his change.
Yeah, where'd he go? To an arcade?
Look, I can give you these, and you can roll them yourself.
You want me to roll 6,000 of these? What, should I quit my job?
It's Seinfeld, premiering Thursday right after Cheers on NBC.
So the gimmick of this episode is, I think, really interesting. And one of the reasons I chose this episode as the first episode of this podcast is that it is so simple and just sort of so indicative of like the sort of structure breaking experimental things that you can do, but in a way that like it isn't even that complicated to define. Like this is just a real-time bottle episode, and that's all it is. And they sort of maximize that concept. But I want to talk a little bit for anyone who's listening who maybe doesn't know what a bottle episode is, because I do think that term gets thrown around a lot, like online and online discourse and stuff, often kind of incorrectly. But also, who knows, someone might be listening and isn't as like in on TV culture as like we might be. So I can't believe I'm doing this, but Webster's Dictionary defines a bottle episode.
Sorry.
Literally from Merriam-Webster's definition of it.
I love it.
Defines a bottle episode as an inexpensively produced episode of a television series that is typically confined to one setting. That's pretty much the succinct explanation of it, right? It is just a super scaled down, trimmed down episode that's meant to just be very focused, not going to have like special effects, not going to have big guest stars, probably not even necessarily going to have the entire cast, just going to be probably just one plot line in maybe one, maybe two sets, just to make it as cheap and quick and simple as possible. The idea like was kind of popularized, I think, with Star Trek originally. Producers producers would cite doing like ship shows is what they called them. And that would be like ones where they took place exclusively on the Enterprise. Like they wouldn't touch down on any planet. That said, I think that was sort of like what popularized it and what made them more common. I think the actual term and concept really came from the Outer Limits before it, around 1964. Like the actual phrase bottle episode, I think, was coined, is at least said to be coined by Outer Limits producer Leslie Stevens. He created like the first intentional bottle show, arguably, in the Outer Limits episode Controlled Experiment, which I haven't seen, but we'll probably do it on this podcast just because it's important historically.
Yeah.
But that's the intention of that episode, was to be created in only 4 days and be the cheapest episode to produce. Like that was the point of it.
Oh, it's funny. I obviously have known specifically the Merriam-Webster's definition of a bottle episode for a long time. No, sorry. Just to pause for that is so wild to me that Merriam-Webster's has a dictionary or has an entry for bottle episode specifically. I thought you would have to get that from like TV tropes or something, right. But that's so funny. But no, I mean I've known what a bottle episode is, but it didn't occur to me that they probably do them a lot in TV shows for budgetary reasons. I never connected those dots.
Yeah, I mean, so the reason it's called a bottle episode, if you're wondering, is I think the quote from Leslie Stevens is that it's like pulling an episode right out of a bottle like a genie. It's something that you can use if your season's gone over budget, or like if something happened, like an actor is like in the hospital, episode got axed and you have to throw something together really quick. Something you can throw out easily.
Oh my God. I always thought it was a bottle episode because it was like trapped in a bottle.
I mean, it makes sense. And but like it works though, right? I don't think you're necessarily like wrong though, because I mean all of this stuff is like hearsay, right? It's what some producers said, but they're all probably talking to each other. Star Trek didn't come out that long after Outer Limits. They might have also been saying bottle episode, but they're like, yeah, ship in a bottle. We're doing a ship show, like So you might not be wrong.
I like the genie out of a bottle kind of. I was just thinking like I was dumb this whole time and like just never knew what the reference actually was, and was like I haven't done research on what like the historical kind of connotation of the term is, and so I just kind of put the pieces together like that in my head, so that's kind of just what I always kind of assumed.
Yeah well, and I guess if you are only like, I feel like a lot of people nowadays probably will know what it is based on like shows referencing it, like Community calling out when they're doing a bottle episode, stuff like that. And if you're basing it on that, it's like, oh, it's a show when you're just trapped in a room and that's it. And it kind of technically is, but I think the origins of it being a time-saving thing are sort of an important piece of like why they're a thing that exists, because it's for the same reason that clip shows exist, right? It's just a time-saving easy thing. Like technically clip shows themselves, you could argue, are bottle episodes because they are accomplishing the same thing, and often the frame story for when the characters are sitting down and remembering things that happen in past episodes is also only confined to one setting. So like it's all kind of wrapped up together. But I think with bottle episodes specifically, as they sort of evolved, I think what's really interesting about them is that I think you're more often going to see bottle episodes now in the same vein of the Seinfeld episode, where they are actually doing it for a creative reason rather than a budget reason. Because it wasn't a budget reason why they were trying to do it for Seinfeld in this case. And it actually was kind of notoriously a struggle to get this episode made. So almost like the opposite of how bottle episodes are usually produced.
Really?
Yeah. So the history of the Chinese restaurant in Seinfeld, it is really fascinating. This is only in season 2, right? And I think that it's hard to imagine a time when Seinfeld was airing and like wasn't a ginormous hit.
Yeah.
Like, not a lot of people were watching it at this time. It was sort of a weird, like, kind of mean sitcom that I don't think the network executives really understood. It was really right around this episode, and I think the season after it, that it really took off. So, you know, this is already kind of a show that's kind of on the edge of like potentially, you know, failing in the eyes of executives in the audience. So Larry David came up with this, the idea for this episode, the idea being that he wanted to do a real-time episode. And he thought of it because he and Seinfeld were at one point waiting for a table at a Chinese restaurant in Los Angeles. And I assume it just took a while. He's just like, wow. He's probably like, oh, it took such a long time. Oh, it's like being in hell.
It's so funny too, because like I can just feel, you can feel that like kind of just seething anger about it in the entirety of the episode. Like, I think you're completely spot on about that, is like, and I'm sure when they were sitting there waiting, I'm sure that some of the conversation probably happened. And yeah, I'm sure Larry David was just a complete dick about it. Sorry, I should have asked if I can say dick.
Oh, no, you can swear as much as you want. I don't know.
Okay. Awesome. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that was mostly the case. So that's so funny.
Yeah. So like, and I think it's like us knowing what Seinfeld becomes sort of after this point. Like, a lot of the famous episodes are these sort of like characters stuck in real world situations, almost taken to an extreme.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of like anxiety and annoyance and frustration about it. That's sort of like, oh, I get that. So it's sort of like, oh yeah, waiting for a table at a restaurant. Like, duh, it makes sense as a Seinfeld episode. At the time though, they hadn't really done episodes like that yet. So when David like presented this episode to the NBC executives, they were very negative about it. Like, they didn't get it. Like, there's no story to this. People are going to be bored. They're just waiting. Like, what do you do with that? And you know, Larry David's like, well, that's the fucking point, guys. It's funny because like there's an inside look video. I don't know if it's from the DVDs or what, but I found it on YouTube. Executive Warren Littlefield, he actually cops to it in that video, like that he didn't get it at the time. And he was like, are they missing pages? Are they trying to save money? I don't get it. Which is so funny because like network executives are the ones that are like always trying to save money. So you'd think this would be like a dream, being like, oh, you're going to do an episode that's not going to cost anything? Cool, go for it, man.
Like, come on, they're basically handing you just like a check or the opposite of a check on like a silver platter.
Right. It's like literally the opposite of how these episodes often get made. It's so funny to me. But everybody on the creative side was like very committed to it. Like, the actors loved it. There's a quote in that video from Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and she's like, it's like doing a play. And if you watch it, it's like feels like you are just watching a one-act play, honestly.
Oh, that's such a good call out. Yeah, I didn't even think about that at the time, but yeah, it really does feel just like a play. And yeah, there's multiple like kind of scene shifts and stuff like that. I actually wrote down, once we get into talking about the episode, like some different areas of the restaurant that like kind of poke out. That's really good. I never picked up on that. I love that she called that out.
Yeah, to be honest, I think like a thing that, because I definitely went through a phase where it was sort of like, oh, multi-camera sitcoms are like not good comedy. Good comedy is like edgy single camera stuff. And then what I think turned me around a lot on like just multicam in general is that like, oh, it is, a lot of these sitcoms are just like plays. Like, you're just watching a televised play.
Yeah.
You know? And this is just that to the extreme, like, because there aren't even scene changes. It is literally the one set that you're seeing on stage just on your television. Also, Jason Alexander said in the video that he considered this to be the start of the defining anarchy of Seinfeld. All right, buddy. I guess.
Although there, again, get into this, but there is a specific quote from George at the start of the episode that had some very, very anarchistic vibes to it that I was just like, hell yeah.
Yes. So, like, the way that they got it made was that David argued that, like, no, dude, each character has a storyline. Like, it's not that there's nothing going on. They even, I think staff writer Larry Charles is credited with suggesting that, like, instead of just having them go to the Chinese restaurant, we can specifically say that they're on their way to see a movie, and thus let's introduce this ticking clock scenario to it. So even though there really isn't any momentum in this episode, it does feel like there's momentum because you do have that sort of end goal that they're trying to reach, even though they're not actually going in that direction.
Yeah, and actually, that was a really good call to do that, because I feel like without that kind of anticipation at the end, or without that kind of, like you said, the ticking clock, it feels like there really might not have been any stakes. And I do think that the episode could have come across as like kind of boring without that, but I think that's what kind of added up to the anxiety. I mean, each of the characters had their kind of own thing going on at the time, but that was kind of like, this, we have to get this done by this point in time. And I think that really is what made it just feel so, like thinking back to it, like it kind of just makes me really anxious thinking about it.
Yeah, well, because we've all been there, right? Like, we've all had a thing that we need to get to, and it feels like the world is, like, preventing us from getting to that thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, I feel like dinner and a movie in general, that's probably happened to many people before, Yeah, it's very relatable. Yeah, it was a good addition. It definitely, like, added the stakes and I think helped with the catharsis at the end, with them deciding not to go to the movie at the end of the day. So NBC executives still objected to this, despite all of that. So Larry David was like, okay, well, I'm going to quit the show if you can't make me do this cheap ass episode.
What? Uh-huh. I had no idea. Wow.
Yeah. And Seinfeld supported him. And so I have to imagine they're just sort of like, why do you want to do this episode so badly? Fine, fucking do it, guys. I don't know that because they let him do it eventually after that. But apparently they did strongly advise them to not go through with it, and ended up like postponing the episode until near the end of the season. It was supposed to come out as the 6th episode. I think it was like slotted as that, and then it doesn't come out until I think the penultimate episode of the season. So,
which, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the second to the last episode of the season is more important than like the 6th episode, right?
I feel like maybe in modern times it is. I don't think that was as much the case back in the day, because like people weren't like waiting for season finales of things like they are now, Mm-hmm. Because this isn't like this is a common thing that you'll hear about. There's actually another episode of a different show that I want to cover on this podcast at some point that had the exact same issue where like the network was like, I don't understand this episode. And then it just got pushed to like the end of the season, which you think like, oh, it's going to be like the season finale. But it's like for the network, it's just sort of like, we're going to hold off airing this for as long as possible. Like, and I imagine like if it was episode 6, maybe it would have been airing more like during earlier sweeps weeks or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that makes sense. Especially how you described the show earlier, is it wasn't like the unstoppable force that it became at this point. They were trying to like build up momentum, and having a weird ass Chinese food or Chinese restaurant episode could totally derail that momentum if it doesn't hit. So that makes total sense. I guess you're right. I am thinking about it with more of a modern kind of like sensibility of shows now.
Yeah, and also Seinfeld, I think the first season was like 5 or 6 episodes. So like that would have only been like the 12th episode ever of the entire show too. I think that's probably also a factor, that it's like, it still is just so early in the show's life to do something that the network considers to be weird,
Yeah.
Which is so funny, because I think a big plus of this episode is that I don't feel like you recognize how weird it is until like after you finished it either. But we can get into that. But no matter what, it all worked in the show's favor, because this is generally considered to be like the first great episode of the show. Kind of set the stage for like the show going forward. It pretty much like solidified why this whole concept of a show about nothing can work, because it's an episode about nothing. People loved it. The show does future episodes like this in the future that just almost kind of escalates it even more. And they're all beloved episodes. So it's a winner. People like this episode a lot.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yes, yes. Speaking of, let's talk about the episode. If you'd like to watch Seinfeld along with us, the series is currently available on Netflix, though with a terrible aspect ratio as of this recording. It is available for purchase on some digital platforms, and it does have the correct aspect ratio, like at least on Google Play, I think. And also it's like never not been in reruns. So if you happen to have like cable or like a Philo subscription or something, you can watch it probably like any given time of day, like on TBS or whatever. So very hard to miss this show honestly.
If you have trouble finding Seinfeld, like
that's you are working to not find it.
Yeah, you're actively like trying not to watch the show.
Yeah. The synopsis per IMDb for this episode is Jerry, Elaine, and George stop for a quick Chinese dinner before seeing Plan 9 from outer space, but circumstances at the eatery make them miss the movie. How accurate is that description?
Succinct, to the point. I mean, what
spoils
else
the ending.
That's true. That does spoil the ending. But yeah, it is funny. Like, I was like, man, that's a really short description, but like, what else? Yeah. What else do you say? Like, how else do you describe the episode?
Right. Original air date for this episode was May 23rd, 1991, written by series creators Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld. It was written by Tom Sharones, who directed 80 episodes of Seinfeld, actually directed every single season 2 episode, in addition to a whole bunch of other 90s sitcoms. So definitely, I think he's also like a supervising producer on the show. So all the heavy hitters on this episode, essentially. So I think this episode is interesting because there's not like a through line for the plot. I think really if we want to just sort of organize the conversation a little bit, we can just talk about Jerry, George, and Elaine's individual storylines like as they sort of come if we want to all together. I will say to start us off, because I want to know what your thoughts on this are, Tommy. Like, what are your feelings on like Jerry's opening monologues in this show, like in general?
Yeah. I mean, I used to think they were like phenomenal, and they were like, this is the pinnacle of comedy, like stand-up comedy. They don't really hit as much anymore. No. They're very flat. It's funny because it like very much has like the delivery of like, this is what like stand-up comedy is, but then you're like listening to it and you're just kind of like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, I don't know. And I will say too, I feel like later on, the stand-up bits don't necessarily, or maybe it's earlier on, I can't remember, they don't necessarily always tie in with like the episode itself, whereas like this one did have like a connection to it. I will say this particular kind of opening monologue I liked, but it was also just so dated, like, right, like it was a very specific 90s thing about not even just about payphones, right, like it was about a specific thing that I don't even know I've heard of happening.
Never knew that was a thing. I only have ever heard of it from this episode.
Right?
I never knew that was a thing that would happen.
Like, so it's like Jerry's talking about the, running out of time on the phone, which I was like, why didn't the phone just cut him off? But then instead of the phone cutting him off, when he hangs up, the operator calls back and wants money. Like, I was like, that is the most bizarre concept I've ever heard of.
You've had this happen? What? Phone rings. It's the phone company. They want more money. Don't you love this? And you've got them right where you want them for the first time in your life. You're on the street. There's nothing they can do.
And the audience is hysterical. They are loving this monologue. And I'm like, I mean,
yeah,
I guess.
I mean, I guess at its core, it's about like, I kind of related it to, I don't know, like kind of like telemarketers calling you, like just kind of the hatred for the phone operator piece. Like that was the only thing I really could connect to. But yeah, it was such a bizarre thing. But I will say it was entertaining. It was more entertaining than like some of the other ones. I don't remember the closing.
The closing monologue is about cannibalism for some reason. He's sort of like, Elaine's hungry in this episode, so we'll just talk about people eating each other, I guess.
That's right. I forgot all about that.
How could you forget?
Cannibalism. What do they say? I mean, they're eating. This is good. Who is this? I like this person.
Oh, that's right. That's so funny because I like vividly remember the opening monologue and I was like, I don't even remember what this other one was about. I guess it was generally about hunger.
But it's mostly about cannibalism.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan, honestly.
Yeah. Like of cannibalism or of the...
Well, I mean, cannibalism, I guess in the right context might be fine, but no, I'm not a fan of either, I guess.
Yeah. I would tend to agree with that. I think generally speaking, like the show can kind of stand on its own without them. But
yeah,
I need to look more into this, but like, was the concept behind that like the people need to know that Jerry Seinfeld is a stand-up comedian and that's why we're making this show about him? Like, was that like the whole thing where it's like we have to have some of his comedy in there?
I guess because it is sort of unique that I think, you know, it was common and still is, I guess, to an extent of like a comedian to get their own sitcom where they're just sort of playing a heightened version of themselves. But I do think it was unique for Seinfeld where he is also playing a comedian. Like, I feel like that might have even been a hook to get the show made in the first place, that it's sort of like, no, we're going to make it so close to reality that Jerry Seinfeld is literally a stand-up comedian in the show, just a less successful version of himself, essentially. So like, I think it does. I can see the logic with it because that also helps the show sort of stand out a little bit too. And I sort of see the logic of bookending it. And like, that's also an easy way to like fill time if your episode comes up a little bit short. You know, like I get all of it. I just don't know if they necessarily like, I know it's weird to be like retroactively criticizing a instrumental part of Seinfeld, but I don't know if they really ultimately like executed it. Like the monologues, whenever I watch an episode, are always my least favorite part. And it's just waiting for Jerry to get done talking so the actual episode can start, honestly.
No, that's 100% my feeling as well. And I will say there's like hidden gems. Like there's sometimes it's like, okay, that was a good one, or, you know, that kind of thing. But yeah, usually it's just kind of like, I could fast forward this if I really wanted to. I will say they I think in the first season, if I remember correctly, they actually had breaks in the episode itself where they had bits of his stand-up as well. And I'm really glad they took that away because like that was just too much.
Yeah. I'm glad they sort of, I mean, I feel like by the end of the show, it was so minimal in it. Like, I think this actually ending with a monologue, I think was almost kind of jarring to see, just because, you know, a couple of seasons later, you would have the one at the beginning and then that's it. And then you would never see him doing stand up for the rest of it. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that happens. Not relevant to anything. Just wanted to get it out of the way. Honestly, like the setup for this episode is what the IMDb description was pretty much. And that's sort of the genius of this episode, right? They go to a restaurant, they go to a Chinese restaurant. They want a quick bite before seeing a showing of Plan 9 from outer space. And that's it. That's the episode, is them waiting for a table for what they are told is happening in 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we don't have anything else to talk about. That's it.
Yeah, it's all done. It is a show about nothing. We're done. Bye, everybody.
No, I will say it's so funny to me that the movie that they want to go see is like arguably like one of, I mean, I know it's like a lot of people like it, like it's a cult kind of movie that people like it because it's so bad, but like it's just funny to me that it's like one of the worst movies, like, you know, reviewed as like the movie that they're like dying to go see because it's in theaters. Like there's just something so Seinfeld about that. I don't know how to like describe it other than that.
Well, and also like Jerry is such an interesting character because he's like this weird, like almost covert nerd that is like very of the 90s, like before, like it wasn't cool to be a nerd at the time. Mm-hmm. So like whenever it would pop up and it's just like, oh, he really likes Superman. He really likes seeing old bad movies in theaters and commentating on them like he's in Mystery Science Theater. And like, that's such a, that does feel like such a Jerry Seinfeld thing specifically, you know? Mm-hmm. And I love that he's just like,
just a movie? You don't understand. This isn't plans 1 through 8 from outer space. This is plan 9. This is the one that worked.
that was a good bit.
I like
in the episode. I like that a lot too. Yeah, I mean, I think some of that likely is Larry David like seeping his. If I had to guess, I mean, maybe Jerry Seinfeld is like that in real life too. I don't know enough about him, but I feel like that's maybe Larry David seeping some of his personality into the main character as well as like one of the main writers of like, I could see Larry David being like the bigger nerd, you know, than Jerry was, but it is very much like his character, like the character Seinfeld. That is totally him, you know.
Yeah. Well, I guess while we're talking about him, we can sort of hone in on Jerry's storyline in this one. I think probably my least favorite in the episode, but it's still really relatable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so relatable. Oh my God.
Too relatable. So in the midst of waiting, Jerry's whole deal, in addition to wanting to see Plan 9 from outer space, the backstory of this episode is that he actually was supposed to join his uncle for dinner, but he lied to him because he wanted to see Plan 9 instead. So that is a thing that he feels guilty about that he brings up a few times. At the same time, while they're waiting, he notices a woman in the restaurant, and he knows that he recognizes her, knows that he's seen her before, but like cannot place her, cannot remember her. And it takes a while, but eventually they meet like as she's leaving, and she remembers exactly who he is, and he has to just fake it the entire time.
Hi, Jerry.
Hey. How you doing?
How is everything?
Good. What's going on?
I'm working hard. And you?
Oh, you know, working around, same stuff, doing whatever.
Oh my God. So much about that. That was, for me, the realest, like, part of the episode was just kind of this, gosh, I wrote it down too, like the awkward, I know this person, but I don't remember them conversation. Like, it was to a T the conversation that you have with people like that too, where it's just kind of like, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, you know, things are going good with me. How are things going with you? Like, it was executed in like, in such a way that it wasn't like punched up for comedy. I mean, I guess it probably kind of was a little bit, but it didn't feel like it was punched up that much. It just felt very real and so relatable.
Yeah. And the fact that the lady just will not let him go either. She keeps asking him questions, you know, like, how are things going? Like, oh, you know, they're going.
Yeah, they're going. Oh, I'm busy. Busy.
Working around.
Yeah, that was the one line where I was like, wait, what? Like, he said working around. Like, what does that even mean?
And my favorite part of the bit is Elaine is there witnessing this. And like the look that she has on her face, the look of sheer glee at Jerry's like uncomfortableness is so good. Yeah. She is having a blast watching all of this unfolds. It's great.
100%. But then she also does the friend thing, which is like introduce herself so that the other party can get the name. Yeah. Which I thought was like, but she waits like just long enough to make it like really uncomfortable for Jerry. And again, like I said, that was the realest part of this episode for me, was just kind of like the you know, because I feel like that so much in my personal life of like, I have just such a bad memory when it comes to meeting people, and I'm so bad at remembering names, and so I'm always living in this constant state of heightened anxiety and fear that I'm going to run into someone, not remember who they are, and have to have that exact same conversation with people multiple times.
Yeah, I had that happen with someone. And I eventually figured out that I think it was someone from high school. I'm still not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it was someone from high school. But I had like spotted her in a grocery store, and I kind of recognized her face, but couldn't place her, and was just figuring I would just keep walking. But she flagged me down and was like, "Derek, don't act like." But no, then she was like, "Don't act like you don't know who I am," and gave me a hug.
Oh God!
And I was like, "Oh, I remember you." Of course. Nope. How are you doing?
Nope.
Hate it. That's why I just try not to make eye contact when I'm out in public ever with anyone, just in case.
Oh my God. This is such an aside, but do you ever, if you see someone and you're like, I think I know that person, but I don't know who it is, and I don't want to have a conversation with them. Yeah. Do you do the like turn around and like avoid as much as possible?
Absolutely. I have spent such a long time in grocery stores because I've had to double back avoiding people and like waiting to get into the aisle I need to get into just because they're there. Yeah. Oh boy. No. Allergic to people in public a lot of the time.
Yep. I guess I'm not getting milk today because that person is spending way too much time in the dairy section. I'm not going over there.
Yep.
Oh man. Yeah. You're right though. Jerry's story is like, I mean, it's very up till that point, like there's nothing else, right, that happens with him other than just kind of carrying on the conversation with his other friends and wanting to go see Plan 9 from outer space.
Yeah. I like how it wraps up, though, because he does eventually remember who the woman is, and tying it back to his initial guilt from the very beginning of the episode is that he remembers that she's his uncle's receptionist at work, because he knows that she'll tell his uncle that she spotted Jerry at a Chinese restaurant when he told his uncle that he was sick. And that means that it's just going to spread all amongst his family through the grapevine, and everyone will give him shit about it, basically, for lying to his uncle.
The chain reaction of calls, this is gonna set off. New York, Long Island, Florida, it's like the Bermuda Triangle. Unfortunately, nobody ever disappears. My uncle to my aunt to my mother to my uncle to my cousin to my sister to me. Including
his sister, who he mentions, who I don't think ever gets mentioned ever again in the rest of the show. Like, it was such like a weird... I could be completely wrong about this and just blacking out an episode, but I don't think we ever see his sister.
He killed her to keep his secret. She was the first person that was told, and he's like, "You're gone, and you're not going to tell my parents. This isn't going any farther." And never mentioned her again.
Or she was like the the brother on Happy Days who just like goes up the garage stairs and never comes back.
Exactly.
I specifically wrote that down because I did a double take and I had to like rewind it, and I was like, did he just say his sister? He doesn't have a sister. What is he talking about?
Oh my God. Yeah. Good stuff with Jerry's. Again, probably my least favorite, but it's still really good and so relatable. Mm-hmm. George's is another one that's like, it's so quintessentially George, this entire storyline. And it's like so iconic too at the same time.
Very much so.
Basically, actually, I meant to bring this up because I think you were making a note of it earlier. It's like what George is like, the anarchy kind of stuff that George is talking about when they first enter the restaurant.
Yep. Yeah, it's the first line of the show, and it honestly took me back a little bit because Elaine was like, I don't even know what the hell they were talking about, first of all.
Yeah, because Elaine comes in as just like, I think we just need more cops. And then George is like, no, we don't.
No, they just have to get more cops on the force. It's as simple as that.
Cops? I don't even care about cops. I want to see garbage men. It's much more important. All I want to see are garbage trucks, garbage cans, and garbage men.
George is like, no, we need more garbage men. And I was like, yes, George gets it. That is the correct response.
George Costanza said ACAB.
It was so funny because it was very much like a joke or a conversation piece that was like continuing from outside, obviously.
Yeah.
I think you're meant to like piece together probably something happened with something and it involved crime and trash. And so that's why they're arguing about it. But out of context, I was just like, I love this, and I'm surprised that I haven't seen like that clipped like on the internet anywhere of like Elaine saying we need more cops and George being like, no, we need more garbage men. Like, I just fucking loved that.
Yeah, I love it. It's so funny. And then Jerry's like, we'll just make the cops the garbage men. They'll be the same.
I always see cops walking around with nothing to do. Grab a broom. Start sweeping. You sweep. Catch a criminal, get right back to sweeping.
Yeah, that was good too.
Yeah, it's great. Good start to this episode. George has a lot of iconic lines and moments in this one specifically.
Yeah.
So his story, he's basically, he's George, so he's anxious like he always is. Specifically in this case, he's anxious because the previous night he'd left his girlfriend to Tanya during sex, like literally during, which he explains to Jerry in the episode that they were having sex. He needed to drop a deuce apparently in the middle of it. Thought her bathroom was like too close to the bedroom, wouldn't provide enough privacy, which like, honestly, I feel for you, dude.
Relatable.
And as this is happening, I'm thinking, even if I can somehow manage to momentarily extricate myself from the proceedings and relieve this unstoppable force, I I know that that bathroom is not going to provide me with the privacy that I know I'm going to need.
This could only happen to you.
But he handled it in the worst way because while they were having sex, he's like, I think I should go. And she's, of course, like, what the fuck? And so he just leaves her to poop. She's pissed about it. He has to work very hard to try to get back in her good graces. So by the time we meet him in this episode, the whole idea is that he's just trying to get her to meet them at the Chinese restaurant, but they only just decided where they were. So he has to call her to tell her where they are so she can meet them. And they're already on thin ice. So that's where we kind of start. And then it just escalates from there.
So a couple of things about that specific like storyline. One, I mean, people make this observation about Seinfeld a lot, and so like I'm not saying anything profound, but like so much of what happens in the show could just be really simply solved by like having a cell phone. Like cell phones, you know, make so much of that show just not happen. You know what I mean? Needing to use a payphone, needing to like have them call them at a specific place. Also, the idea of like the girlfriend, I would think that she would be really concerned. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not necessarily mad. I would think, like, is there something wrong? Like, are you having, like, a medical emergency? Like,
right.
Or was it really just, he was just like, hey, I gotta go. I can't say anymore. Nope, I'm totally fine. Gotta go. And, like, takes off.
Yeah, doesn't that sound exactly like something George would say, though?
That's true. Yeah, that's probably, actually, now that I think about it, that's probably what happened.
Yeah, that's the other thing about this is that, like, I feel like the thing about Seinfeld is that, like, all of their characters, it isn't just like, I feel like it's not a hot take to be like, they're very selfish people. They're very bad. Like, sure. Yeah. Most sitcom characters are. I think like the truth is that like, they always just have the worst possible reactions to situations.
Yeah.
And they're reactions that like are sort of in our worst nightmares. Like the thing that the faux pas you wouldn't want to do, these characters do, because that's the hell that they exist in, essentially.
The hell they create.
Right. So it's like, Jerry even says it to George. He's like, this sort of thing could only happen to you. But it's like, it's not really. It's just like unlikely to happen unless you have really bad luck, and he does, you know? But it is like a worst case scenario and a nightmare. I mean, like, yeah, that is a fear of being like, you're having sexy time with somebody, and then you also realize you're probably going to have diarrhea. What are you going to do? Like, that's a terrible situation to be in, you know? It's
100%.
awkward. It's awkward no matter what. He just handles it, you know, in the worst possible way, ultimately.
Yeah. And like exacerbating it, like waiting until they actually leave to go somewhere to try to get back in touch with her.
Right.
Like, you probably could have planned that a little bit better, bud. But again, that's George.
Exactly. And I think like all that setup is sort of, and then some of his reactions to things are, I think why, even though the storyline obviously is very of its time, even if you take the payphone aspect out of it, all the like feelings and emotions George is going through and the reactions and thoughts that he has are still very applicable, I think, to other scenarios and similar scenarios, especially like all the shame and everything that he's going through with his girlfriend. And then especially just the way he like feels affronted by every single other person in the world that he's interacting with.
Oh yeah. I feel that so hard.
Yeah. Cause basically the rest of the storyline for George is that he's trying to use the payphone. And first there's a guy who according to George is just wearing this coordinated little outfit. I hate his little outfit. I love that he's like so specific about it.
Look at his little outfit. It's also coordinated. The little socks match the little shirt. I really hate this guy.
And he's just on the phone for a very long time. Guy leaves the phone. George tries to get the phone, and then a woman grabs it right before George can.
Excuse me, I was waiting here.
Where? I didn't see you.
I've been standing here for the last 10 minutes.
I won't be long.
That's not the point. The point is, I was here first.
Well, if you were here first, you'd be holding the phone.
And like, arguably kind of rude to him, but like George doesn't really have the best reaction either to like diffuse the situation. So he gets stuck again, waiting for even longer for this other person to get off the phone as well.
Yeah. And I feel like a couple of moments like within his particular story, like I've lived before, of like getting so like to 11 frustrated with like a thing or a person.
Yeah.
And then like you run into them and they're like, oh, sorry about that. And you're like, oh no, don't worry about it at all.
Oh
And it's
my
like,
God.
like
Yes.
that is such a just freaking human thing. Like so much of just kind of like, I was just at like, so mad at this person, and now I have to interact with them as a human being.
Yeah, genuinely the biggest laugh of that episode for me is when the guy that George is ranting about so hard. I think this is his "we're living in a society" rant, right? Isn't that
Yes.
what's happening?
Yep.
Which is so fucking good. So good, so George, but so funny.
You know, we're living in a society. We're supposed to act in a civilized way. Does she care? No. Does anyone ever display the slightest sensitivity over the problems of a fellow individual? No. No. A resounding no.
Hey, sorry I took so long.
Oh, that's okay, really. Don't worry.
Like just like on a dime. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Yep, and we've all been there. I think about that a lot too. Like if I ever have like road rage or something, I'm like, what if I see that person when I stop for gas at Wawa?
Yeah.
Like I have to pretend like I wasn't just like screaming at them in my car.
Right. And it's sort of like, and you don't, and there's even like a bit of, even if they wronged you, like for real, like most of us are not brave enough to then like confront a stranger about that,
For
like
sure.
even if you genuinely felt affronted and wronged about it. And of course, like George wouldn't, because he's like a coward. It's the whole deal. It's great. Good stuff. Also, I love his little black book that has phone numbers in it. That's so cute.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh. Just some of the things that like, I wish we could go back to that. Like just carrying around a little tiny notebook to like have people's contact information in it. God.
Yeah. You kind of miss that. Yeah. So he does eventually get to use the phone. Tanya's not there, so he has to leave a message. And then he like leaves the restaurant's phone number for her to call the restaurant. It's so funny how complicated this is without a cell phone. He has to so leave a message for her to call the restaurant. Let the restaurant know that he's waiting on a phone call. So cool. That should be fine, right? The problem is that the maitre d' calls out Cartwright instead of Costanza. George doesn't recognize that this is like a misunderstanding of his name, ignores the call. When he asks the maitre d' about it, he's like,
Yes, I just got a call. I yell, Cartwright, Cartwright, just like that. Nobody came up, I hang up.
Well, was it for Costanza or?
Yes, that's it. Nobody answered.
Was it a woman?
Yes. I tell her, you're not here. She said curse word, I hang up.
So all for naught.
Yeah, and I will say too, like the delivery of the maitre d' of that like particular of that moment, like was just some of the like the funniest bit of the episode of just like you got a call. I yelled out Cartwright. Nobody answered, so I told him you weren't here. It's like
it's so good.
And then I love how the characters like George like says it to Jerry. He's like,
Who's Cartwright?
I'm Cartwright.
You're not Cartwright.
Of course I'm not Cartwright!
You're not Cartwright. Like, just very complete nonsense conversation that like we all have as well. But it just really really struck me. Like I was like actually laughing at that a lot.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. And that's like, it's so, I mean, 'cause especially by that point in the episode, it's gotten so surreal and so heightened and so absurd. Like even within the sort of relatively small scope of absurdity of this episode, it's still like relatively absurd that all this is happening. And they're all just exasperated. None of it makes sense. Nothing makes sense anymore. A couple bits about this bit. First of all, I want to call out the maitre d' is played by James Hong. What's funny is that I feel like this is probably like his most recognizable role, but he's actually done like a shit ton of stuff. Like he's been acting forever. Even before this came out, he was in like pretty major roles in like Blade Runner and Big Trouble in Little China and stuff like that. I think he still pops up and stuff. Like he is all over the place. He's so funny in this epised.
Oh, he's great. And
so
I
good.
As someone who like loves Big Trouble in Little China, I like immediately was like, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's so good and like just plays the role so well. Like very, very kind of just like deadpan. Not deadpan isn't the right word, I feel like, but very just kind of like exactly level as it should be.
Yeah, he's very like nonplussed by these people that are just having a meltdown in front of him. Like he's always joyful, and it doesn't. I think like I don't know. There probably is a conversation that maybe like it could become too much of a stereotype. Like, oh, he's just so oblivious and doesn't understand their ways or whatever. Like, I think that there's a conversation that maybe it could be bridging on to something like that. I don't think it really crosses that line though, because he just seems like he's just kind of a joyful character who's enjoying doing his job and doesn't really care about these characters having a meltdown, you know?
Yeah. The only moment, honestly, that I think would be like, probably like bridging up to the line is maybe like the misunderstanding of the name, like the kind of like language, barrier piece there. But I even feel like that you could chalk that up for anyone. Like just the quality of phones at the time and like someone calling from a payphone, like whatever. Like I feel like that's probably the closest thing to like pushing the line, I think.
Yeah. And it also was like, again, by that point, there's been so much absurdity with the maitre d' just like letting in random people and not answering people's questions directly and giving weird answers to them anyway, that it's sort of like, it more is just that he's just a weird guy than anything.
I will say, speaking of that, I love, since we're talking about the maitre d', I loved the, I can't remember the guy's name, but there's this character that kind of walks in and like makes like a couple of jokes.
Hey, what stinks in here?
Mr. Cohen, haven't seen you for a couple of weeks.
Well, I've been looking for a better place.
Better place. Want a table?
No, just bring me a plate and I'll eat here.
Bring him a plate, you eat here. Come on, I'll give you a table.
You just let this guy in and he's like, oh no, Mr. Whatever, like he's always here. Like, it's just like, that doesn't make it better. Like, it's just.
I know we were ahead of that guy. He just came in.
Oh no, Mr. Cohen, always here.
He's always here? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Oh, Mr. Cohen, very nice man. He live on Park Avenue.
Where am I? Is this a dream? What in God's name is going on here?
She's just like, where am I?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah. Oh, he's always here.
Like, that's not an answer to my question. The Cartwright thing I think is kind of interesting because it's like a weirdly like heady reference, which I'm like, it's kind of weird, but okay. Costanza kind of rhymes with Bonanza, and Cartwright was the main character of Bonanza. Also, James Hong was in Bonanza for like a period of time too.
Okay. I mean, you know what? Props to them for doing that. I love if it was something that I understood, I would probably be like really excited about that.
Would you? Would you? I don't know.
If it was like, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't, but like, I tend to like very like thin references like that, but that's very, very thin. And even for the time, like Bonanza would have been off the air for a while, right?
Yeah, for sure. So
that's
it's
so
weird.
Funny.
It's a weird reference. I mean, it is. I think that's one jarring thing about this episode is that like, if you don't know that trivia, like, Cartwright is so completely not even close to Costanza that it's sort of like, what? But again, it's sort of almost like dream logic by the end of the episode. So it's kind of fine.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah. Anything else about George's little story pod here?
Other than you kind of called this out, but like his literal "we're living in a society" monologue, which so many moments where I just like did a double take in this episode. I was just like, wait, did that just happen? Like,
yeah, like
I don't remember that, but okay, cool.
Like, is that where the meme came from? Like, is that what it came from? I feel like you associate it with like people making fun of like the Joker or whatever, but it's like George Costanza was the original Joker, I guess.
I think that's the only conclusion I can come to. But no, I mean, nothing else really about George's story. Very tragic.
Yeah.
and very again, also very relatable. Maybe not as relatable because like some of it is just like, buddy, you kind of did this to yourself a little bit. Just tell her you got to take a dump. Like,
right. Yep. Communication in relationships is good, people.
Yeah.
Everybody poops. It's no, if they're going to be mad about that, then maybe they're not the one for you.
Yep.
Cool. I would say that, I mean, all of these are good. I love George's story, but I think Elaine's is like my favorite just because she is so cranked up to 11 right from the get-go. Her story is literally just that she's really hungry. Like, she's hangry. She's just hangry right from the start.
Jerry, get menus so when we sit down, we'll be able to order right away.
Can't look at a menu now. I gotta be at the table.
Everything's got to be just so all the time with you, doesn't it?
Hey, I offered you those cookies in my house.
Health cookies. I hate those little dustboard fructose things.
And that's it. That's everything for Elaine. Of course, stuff happens related to it, but it's just funny that like everybody, like Jerry and George have like these complex emotions and relationships they're dealing with, and Elaine's just like, I just want to eat. I'm at a restaurant, just let me eat.
Yeah. Again, we've all been there.
Yeah.
I love too the like. I can't remember the exact lines, but there's just like some moments where she's like, if I don't eat food right now, like I'm gonna like die, like essentially, like she's so over dramatic about it, but
She
also
really
like
is.
listen, I've been there, like I've definitely been there where I'm like, I don't know why I'm so hungry, but I'm so hungry.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, I know it's so cliche just being like, they're saying what we're all thinking, but like, that is a thing that I think this show often does really well, is that like Elaine is verbalizing what the emotion of hanger is, basically. Like the things that she says are so absurd. Like, she's just like,
You ever notice how happy people are when they finally get a table? They feel so special because they've been chosen. It's enough to make you sick.
Boy, you are really hungry.
Yes. Oh my gosh. You know what's funny is I wrote that line down as well. But I actually I put a specific note about there being like really stand-up-y bits, like really stand-up to like type of lines. Like there was that, and then there's like the whole bit about, which we're going to talk about in a second, I imagine, Elaine going to take the egg roll and the soup, where like it varies like just stand-up bit routine, I felt like. And that one especially, like, yeah, because I could just hear it in a comedian's voice, like, you ever notice how happy people are when they get a table at a restaurant? Like, I was like, if that wasn't in Jerry's stand-up at one point, I would be surprised.
yeah. Well, that's, you know, and I think a lot of Elaine's bits really highlight something that this episode does that's sort of fun, in that like, it also makes it also feel like you're watching a play, is that like sometimes they're talking like at each other, but like each of their lines have nothing to do with what the other one said because they're so focused on their own storyline. Like, I think it's especially present with Elaine, because Jerry and George were talking about stuff and she just walks in, is just like,
No, it's not fair that people are seated first come, first served. It should be based on who's hungriest.
has nothing to do with anything else that they were just talking about. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. So you referenced it before. One of the things that happens with Elaine is that Jerry dares her to...
You walk over to that table, you pick up an egg roll, you don't say anything, you eat it, say thank you very much, wipe your mouth, walk away, I give you $50.
Yep. Which is great. Elaine does approach the table. She has like the clever move of like talking behind her teeth, making it look like she's just like washing them or whatever, and saying that she'll pay them $25, basically split it 50-50 if they just give her an egg roll. But the table is made of old people that don't understand her, can't hear her, aren't getting what's happening, and she just has to bail.
I know this sounds crazy, but the two men who are standing behind me are gonna give me $50 if I stand here and eat one of your egg rolls. I'll give you 25 if you let me do it.
What?
What's she talking about?
What did you say? What did she say?
Which, one of the old people, one of the voices that they have voiceover in that is Larry David.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was also going to say, I could be completely wrong about this, but she voiced over that, right? Like where she had like her teeth clenched.
I think so.
It sounded like, it looked like she voiced over it, which like, I don't care. It was just really funny that I was like, I've never noticed that before, but also just like a totally random thing to have like a voiceover for.
Yeah, I wonder if they did it was just too muffled, because like if you're actually talking behind your teeth, it's not easy to understand. You know?
And also too, I wonder like, because the table of people was like voiceover as well. Like they just had like, you know, they didn't have like the actual people that were there in the sound. It was just, you know, like I said, Larry David was one of them, and then other folks. So I just thought that was really funny.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, even the whole shot is like, that's the only like shot that we get of like that angle. Like every other part of the episode is pretty straight on in the hotel lobby, and then you have this one sort of like interesting shot that's towards the hotel lobby because it's within the restaurant, and that's the only place that's there. So like, I don't know, maybe there wasn't very good sound from that area that they were filming just to get that one shot, so they had to dub the whole thing over.
Yeah, I don't know. It was a little jarring is not the right word, but it was definitely just like weird at first.
Yeah. It's funny though, because it's so awkward.
Yeah. Oh, it's very awkward. It works perfectly. I will say real quick, since you mentioned like the kind of location, something that I picked up on was like, there were very distinct areas in the lobby of the restaurant, or well, in the episode itself. There was that area, right? Of like, there was the interior of the dining room. The maitre d' station was kind of like its own little kind of section, and then there was like the main lobby where they spent most of the time, and then over at the payphone, like they all felt, as I was watching it, and it's probably because I was like over analyzing it, but they all felt like distinct kind of like locations within the episode.
I love that. I think that's a really good observation, because I do think like one of the things that I think I sort of alluded to earlier on is that like, I don't think like there's a lot of times when you can watch a TV show episode when they're trying to do something different, experimental, and you can tell it just feels weird right off the bat. And this one, I don't think really feels like that. Like you can maybe get the sense that like, oh, the pace is kind of different or something for this. And it's not really until the end that you realize like, oh, wow, they never left that restaurant. And I think a big reason for that is that it still feels dynamic, because within the scope of the small set that they have really segmented it out into different locations.
Yep.
Like, you could see a version, I don't think it probably wasn't like this, but you could see a screenplay written where they still list out the different scene locations from just the different corners of the lobby if they wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I love that. That's kind of why I love that you mentioned too, of like it just being like a play, because I kind of connected that as well. Like more recently, it was like, yeah, that is exactly what would happen in a play. It's like, now we shift there, and like you might have like a slight scene change or something like that, like, but it's still like the same place. I just thought that was really cool. And just jumping back to Elaine, just getting that one shot, that one awkward shot in that location, but it was like a really impactful moment, so it like really worked really well.
Yeah. And I do think too, we don't have to keep dwelling on this forever, but like the other play aspect is that there's a certain suspension of disbelief that you have when you're watching people on stage, where like they can walk like 2 feet away from someone and have a conversation, and you're just like, well, of course they won't hear each other. It's the same way in this episode, and you just kind of buy it. Yeah,
actually, there's legitimately a moment where George and Jerry like kind of move away from Elaine strategically, because George, I guess, doesn't want Elaine to overhear the poop story.
Yeah.
Like
but they're talking at normal volume. She's right there. In real life, she would absolutely hear them based on the space of the lobby, but like just the way that they edit it and the way that you're sort of already sort of buying into it as if you're watching a play, like I don't think you even really think about it.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, that's super smart. I love I kind of want to like go back and rewatch this episode now, just from like the framework of like, this is just a 1-act play.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great. I think a lot of the best sitcom episodes of any sitcom, I think you can apply like it being a 1-act play to it. And it's like, I think that's when they excel the most. So what else with Elaine? The egg roll thing fails. Oh, she also tries bribing the maitre d'.
No, I want to eat now.
Yes, whole sea bass dinner tonight. Very fresh.
Here, take this. I'm starving. Take it.
Denison fork.
That didn't go very well.
Yeah, that was the like. That was the most infuriating part, I think, of the episode, and also like the most awkward one, because then Jerry afterwards, after the failed bribe happens, like tries to go back and get their money back. Like, what?
It's all bad.
Like, what are you even thinking there? Like, it's just such a weird like moment. And also, I also really love George's reaction in that moment. He's like figuring out like how much each of them are gonna pay, and like gives himself the least amount of money. And he's like, "I'm not that hungry."
Come on, we'll divide it up 3 ways.
All right. 7, 7, 6. I'm not gonna eat that much.
I'm counting your shrimps.
If they were rating it by who's hungriest, Elaine should just pay all of it, honestly.
Right, yeah. And then, of course, Jerry has the great line of, "I'm counting your shrimps." Like,
yeah, it's all good. But yeah, the bribe fails. The maitre d' like either doesn't get it or maybe is just intentionally ignoring it and taking the money. Who knows? But either way, they lose the money. They don't get the bribe. They're still waiting for what the maitre d' tells Jerry is another 5 to 10 minutes. None of that works. I think just the other couple spare Elaine things that I had written down was when she's like describing like what it used to feel like when you go to a restaurant and how wonderful it was.
Remember when you first went out to eat with your parents? Remember? It was such a treat to go and they serve you this different food that you never saw before, and they put it in front of you, and it was such a delicious and exciting adventure. And now I just feel like a big sweaty hog waiting for them to fill up the trough.
yes. Oh my God. Yeah, I could not like relate more to like a specific. That was so good.
It was such a vibe.
Yeah. Just waiting for him to fill up the trough. Like, she also had really great moments. Every time like a plate of food would go by, she's like either reaching for it or like kind of like craning her neck to like get a like smell of the food on the plate. Like, just so she played that like particular part so well in that episode.
Yeah, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is really good at physical comedy. I think she might be like a really underrated physical comic performer, because like she's so like more, I mean, I know like Kramer does a lot of physical stuff, but like Elaine's stuff feels so natural and like real in what she's doing, even when it's sort of over the top, like almost chasing after a waiter with food, and while she's in the middle of her dialogue, and it's like, I could believe that was just an actor choice. Like that wasn't a scripted thing, you know?
Yeah, that's a good call. Like I wonder if like as she's just sitting there, she's like, I'm just gonna do this with my character, because also she's brilliant and would just think of that anyway.
Right. Oh man, it's great. And then the obvious solution to all of this is like, okay, well, we'll just get takeout. We'll just bring it to the movie theater. Elaine shuts all that shit down.
Well, let's just order it to go. We'll eat it in the cab.
Eat it in the cab? Chinese food in a cab?
We'll eat it in the movie.
What? Where do you think you're going? Do you think that they have big picnic tables there?
She's so whiny, but also like, I don't really disagree with her, because you're like, we'll just eat it in the cab. Chinese in a cab?
Yeah. Bad idea. Like
I agree. Terrible idea.
Nobody wants to do that.
Well, we'll eat it at the movies. You can't eat Chinese at the movies. You think they have picnic tables?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, she shoots down like everything. Like,
let's just eat popcorn or something.
Cartwright?
I can't have popcorn for dinner.
Cartwright!
We have to eat.
Well, they have hot dogs there.
Oh, movie hot dogs. I'd rather lick the food off the floor.
nothing is good at like gonna work in that moment. Which, like, again, I've also been there. It's like they just sat and waited for like 30 minutes, you know, expecting to get Chinese food. Like, I'm not gonna at that point settle for like a, you know, stinking hot dog.
Yeah, totally fair. Y'all should have made a reservation, though, to be fair. It is,
yeah,
it's New York City. Come on. But, you know. One thing there wasn't really I should have probably mentioned this earlier, but I do think it's kind of interesting because we've run through all of the characters except for Kramer because he's not in this episode. And I think the logic behind it is really interesting because Kramer was specifically not in this episode on purpose because it was an episode that takes place outside of the apartment. And apparently, like in the early seasons, I never even picked up on this when I was watching it, but in like the first couple of seasons, like he would never leave the apartment. He never went out with them. He would only be an apartment character. So it's sort of like, oh, well, he wouldn't go out with them. It would just be the three friends and Kramer's the neighbor.
It's kind of sad, actually.
It is. Well, like Larry David, I think it's on the commentary track. He's like, if the episode happened like one season later, we would have involved Kramer in it because how it's too good of a character to keep cooped up all the time. And it would have radically changed the episode. I think the episode probably would have been a lot more like slapstick and probably would have been a little faster paced, which I don't know. I like how this episode is paced. Like I feel like there's a meanderingness of it that feels very appropriate to the whole vibe of waiting that they're giving off.
Yeah. I don't know how this episode would go with Kramer in it. Like, I feel like it would be hard to have him in the lobby waiting with them. Like, yeah, I feel like his story would be like, I'm going to go scope out this other place and like see what the wait time is there and put our names in there and keep like popping back in and popping back out kind of thing. Yeah. Like, I don't know, something like that where he's not there the entire time, because I feel like you're right. Like his character is just too slapsticky and kind of too chaotic sometimes for like the rest of their stories to kind of flow the way they did, which they did flow really well, I thought.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Because they all kind of converge at the end. Like George is upset that he missed the phone call and probably completely fucked up his chance with his girlfriend. So he's like, I'm not in the mood for a movie. See it without me.
Why don't you two just go to the movies by yourself? I'm not in the mood.
Well, me either. I'm going to Sky Burger.
So you're not going?
You don't need us.
Well, I can't go to a bad movie by myself. What am I going to make sarcastic remarks to strangers?
Elaine's like, no, I'm not seeing a movie. I want to get a hamburger right now. I need to eat. Jerry's like, well, I can't like watch this bad movie by myself. Like, I want to do it with my friends and make sarcastic remarks with other people. I can't do that with strangers, which is kind of funny because it's like, he is a stand-up comedian, so that's like what he does for his job. Yeah. So they all end up leaving disappointed. Jerry just goes back, is I guess intending to go back and meet with his uncle after all. And as soon as they leave, the maitre d' calls
Seinfeld, fall.
Just did one final twist of the knife.
And then the credits roll, bump, dump, bump, bump.
While Jerry has a monologue about cannibalism.
Yeah.
Weird note to end on, man. But okay.
But it fits. It fits,
yeah, sure.
I guess. I will say, really quick note about the maitre d'. I'm sure that this conspiracy, or I guess it's not a conspiracy theory, but theory about the episode exists that like the maitre d' is doing all of this on purpose. Mm-hmm. Like he knows, 100% what's going on, didn't like, the group that came in. And so he's just kind of like getting other people to come in before them. And then like, as soon as he sees them leave, then he's like, oh, hey, like calling their names out. I don't know if that's like actually the case, but like sometimes when I watch this episode, I like to think that he's just like this agent of chaos, like just causing chaos.
Yeah, I think that that's a fine interpretation. I mean, because that's the thing is that this whole episode, because it's sort of almost operates on sort of increasing dream logic. It's sort of like you can interpret it any way you want because it doesn't make sense. Like it does make sense in that we've all been in a situation where we've been held up by someone who basically has power over us and don't understand why. But we've also haven't been in this extreme of a situation where everything is this heightened either. So, I mean, yeah, you can really interpret it any way you want to, honestly. Mm-hmm. A thing that I think is really interesting about this is that I think like a lot of episodes that I'll probably be covering on this podcast are ones that like stand out from the show, right? Like that are a departure from the show's whole deal. And that's what makes it different and special. And a lot of the interesting conversations will be like, how does this, like, what was the benefit of like breaking out of your genre or breaking out of your structure to do this particular thing? Like, did it actually work or not? Does it work, in the context of the show or whatever? Mm-hmm. In this case, I think it's sort of interesting and it's an interesting case because I feel like this episode, even though I guess it was sort of maybe a departure from what they had been doing for the first two seasons up to this point, it becomes what the show is for the rest of its run to an extent, not to this extreme. Like they're usually not this confined to one setting, but it is always going, this pretty much is a proof of concept of the show about nothing concept, because this episode it has a plot and it has conflict, but it doesn't really have like a story. Like it's not real. It isn't about anything. There's no message. It's just people caught in this sad dream, surreal situation. And then they have to leave because nothing works in their favor. And that's it.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, the gimmick of the episode in this case is the bottle episode, but like how it plays out really is what the structure of the show ends up being. Like,
yeah.
Like, and you could take a lot of the, like, you could take the idea that they're waiting for Chinese food out of the episode entirely, right? Like, and you can still have like a very similarly structured like episode of the show, and it doesn't matter. Like, you can still have Elaine being hungry and be like, oh, when are we gonna stop at a restaurant or something, as they're like walking down the street. Like, it doesn't have to be confined in a bottle episode. The formula would still work no matter where you put them.
Yeah, definitely. There's a quote from a like Vulture retrospective from like 2015 that I really liked by Daniel Kurland. It was just talking about this episode in the context of like bottle episodes and stuff that have existed before. And the quote I think is really good. It says, this series is all about people getting trapped in social contracts and not being able to escape. This show is telling you that New York City, or even humanity in general, is just one big bottle that we're trapped in. I love that quote so much.
That is great. Yeah,
it's so good.
It's accurate.
Yeah. It's good. It's great episode. So funny. Do you have any other closing thoughts or anything about it?
The only last thought that I have about this episode, and it'll ruin the episode for you, is in the closing monologue, what the hell is the deal with the 2 buttons on Jerry's collared shirt? Like,
I didn't notice that.
Oh my God, go back and rewatch it, because he literally has like, first of all, everything's buttoned because, I don't know, it's the 90s. Like, every button on his collar is buttoned. But he has like a button where like your normal collar button goes. And this probably sounds to people like I'm doing a bit, because they talk about that in, I think, like the first episode and then the last episode about like, oh, your buttons are in the wrong place. I'm not doing a bit. That he actually has like a weird button at the top of his collar. It's so strange. Go back and watch it. In fact, I might even just pull up a screenshot and send it to you, because it bothered the hell out of me at the end of the episode. I was like, what is this?
Huh. Okay.
That was the only other thought that I had.
I told you, those monologues are just bad. They're full of stuff that's just going to ruin it all. Episode ruin, man.
Cannibalism, too many buttons.
Cannibalism and too many buttons. Cool. Well, thank you so much for chatting about Seinfeld with me, Tommy. If other people want to chat with you about Seinfeld on the internet, or anything other than Seinfeld, I guess, where can they find you? What kind of stuff are you doing?
My specific Seinfeld blog is at Seinfeld. No, I'm just kidding. No, you can find me on Twitter. On Twitter, I am at awkward comma. That is my personal Twitter. And then you can find the podcast that I host with my partner Cassie is Distant Echoes, a Star Wars podcast where we kind of go through and we're watching all of the different episodes of every Star Wars TV series. And you can connect with us on Twitter. It's at Distant Echoes SW, or just search for Distant Echoes in your podcast app.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. You can find me on Twitter at Derek B. Gale, or on my other podcasts, Walloping Web Snappers, a Spider-Man podcast, which does deep dives into every Spider-Man cartoon ever made, and Falling with Style, an ongoing Pixar movie marathon, which is a monthly podcast that dives into every Pixar film chronologically. You can also follow this podcast at Gimmicks Pod on Twitter and Instagram for some extra goodies, and email me your questions, feedback, and corrections to gimmicspodcast@gmail.com. And please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast on all platforms. It should be on all of them. Hopefully it is. And if you can rate and review it and subscribe to it, that would be very helpful. Until next time, friends, keep being weird.
You know, we're living in a society